just we'll start it. So today we're going to see the next concept called as the unified process. It's also very interesting. Unified process is a different process compare whatever we discussed in the last few classes. In this unified process model, it is developed by Ramberg, Buch, and Jacobson. These are the three different authors who proposed this unified process. Ramberg, Buch, Jacobson. The main objective of this unified process model is it combines the features of object-oriented models. All the different models, whatever we have in the Java, all together combining all the features in the sense, whatever the features of Java object-oriented, all together will be combined here. In addition to that, it adopts the other proposed features which is proposed by different experts. What are that features? When you are doing the case studies from week 3 to the last weeks, we'll be see that all the different features with the help of UML. So the UML, Unified Modeling Language, already have discussed that. We have a course called as Object Oriented Analysis and Design, OOAD. The total course has designed with the help of UML, right? So like we have data structure is a subject, but how you are going to implementing that data structure, you can implement with the help of C, with the help of C++, with the help of Java. In the similar fashion, to design unified process models, we have a modeling language. Its language is nothing but not like syntaxes we have in the C programming or Java programming. This language talks about with the help of notations. The keyword called as unified means is a unique notations for each diagram. Modeling is we are not writing any code here. We are just using the notations, whatever we are available. With the help of that notations, we are going to be drawing different models based on the scenarios, based on the requirements from the user. So it is resulted as UML. UML stands for Unified Modeling Language. Okay. So this unified process developed by Ramberg and Buch. These are the two authors. Like one more is there, Jacobson is not that much involved in designing of this UML. So totally we can call as a framework for OSC, which stands for Object Oriented Software Engineering using UML. For computer science systems department, there is a separate course called as OSC separate course, which stands for Object Oriented Software Engineering. So that's why in this SVC 19, what we have done is we just combined this software engineering course with the combination of OO, that is object oriented. Now this entire course will be implementing or designed with the help of unified modeling language. So that's how the base for the rest of the week's programs, other than the second week, we are designing with the help of UML only. So hope you have written writing the sentences. No need to be tell again to please note down the points, right? Every time it is not required. So please note down something so that you can go not get sleepy or be active. Coming to the phases of unified process are 4 types. 4 phases we have. Take down the 4 phases here. We are talking about the 4 phases. The first one, inception phase. The second one talks about the elaboration phase. Third one talks about construction phase. Fourth one talks about transition phase. Like we have 5 different framework activities starting from the communication, modeling, construction, deployment. The last one, which is going to be how give some sort of support where we can do it. All such type of phases or activities we are dividing into as 4 parts. One is inception phase, second one elaboration phase, third one construction phase, fourth one transition phase. Let me talk one by one. Let me have a glance on this each phase. First one, before going to that, draw the figure, the unified process. The name of the figure, the unified process. Under this unified process, hope you have remember, the first activity is communication. The second framework activity is planning. The third framework activity is modeling. The fourth framework activity is construction. The last activity is deployment. If you see together, the combination of communication and planning comes under the first phase called as inception phase. The combination of planning and modeling will be comes under the second phase called as elaboration. The modeling and construction as a combined called as totally combined as called as the third phase, construction. The combination of deployment and construction called as the fourth phase, transition. And the outcome of this will gives one each release called as software increment, because it is an iterative process. For each iteration, it is releasing a small product that is called as increment. If that increment is satisfied by the customer, if any changes has done in that increment, again we'll go for the second iteration. Clear? So whatever we have the 5 different framework activities together combining as a combination of communication planning called as inception, combination of planning modeling called as elaboration, combination of this construction and transition will be called as this is construction and deployment. Here we are going to be joining here modeling, or we can say separate phase, separate phase for the construction without any combination. Combination of deployment and construction will be called as transition. And here the output is software release. So this is the production where we are going to talking about here. This is the production, right? Hope you have completed. As part of this, coming to like we have some different tasks in each activity. Hope you have remember in the communication what we are doing. We are gathering the requirements and we are going to be taking care of the plan how it will be work out, right? So like this we have in the each phase we have some set of activities list out. In the activities in each phase we have different tasks. Write down in the first phase, inception phase. Inception phase. In this one, we have the task like vision document. The document vision, like for we have the goal to reach for that one. Vision also a goal to complete a particular product. What is your vision? That document we had to provide. The first task in the inception phase. The second task is initially the use case model. Like if you are observing your SRS, there is a use case diagram. Few of you have, some of you, most of the project having the use case diagram. There will be a use case model where it represents how the customer or the administrator or different actors involving into that project, how they are going to be the communication will be done between that. So we are representing in a graphical manner with the help of this use case model. So use case model can be drawn with the help of the UML language. We'll discuss later about that. The third activity under this is initial risk assessment. The third task, not activity, the task, initial risk assessment. Initial risk assessment in the nothing but you're releasing this product to the society, to the market. We have to take care of that, whether it is suitable for only the age of the 20 years or old peoples or having a specific age peoples, or it can be applicable to every age people. Maybe sometimes your product used by the children's, maybe that can be used by the old peoples, because any chances of any risk over there to using of that type of products. The last task in the inception phase is project plan. So these are the, in the project plan, as you already aware, we are talking about the estimation, the scheduling, the tracking. Whatever the activities we are combining is inception as well as this, you are going to be in the inception phase, we are combining communication and planning. So whatever the task belongs to communication and few tasks belongs to planning, we are combining together. That task we are combining here in the part of inception phase. The first task is vision documentation. The second is initial use case model. The third one, initial risk assessment. The fourth one, project plan. Hope you are taking the points, because just simply you are listening. If you're not taking some sort of any lines of sentences, it is very tough task when you're studying for your examination. Coming to the second phase, where we are combining the planning and modeling. We are integrating the two different activities, planning and modeling, together called as elaboration phase. Under this, these are the set of activities we are doing. The first one, as we discussed, here we are called as initial use case model. Here, a total finalized use case model. How many use cases? What are the different scenarios, different contexts you are going to use in this project? Who are their involvement? How the communication will be done between the user and administrator, or between the user to the customer, or between the developer to the other people, or all sort of actors is a total picture representation will be represented here in the elaboration phase. The second activity talks about analysis model. In the analysis model, we are going to give the final price, final estimation efforts with respect to the time, with respect to the cost, with respect to the manpower which is required to complete that project. That total we are going to discussing in analysis. We are discussing the with respect to the estimation of total time, cost, and the total manpower, how many number of peoples is required to complete that project. All these three parameters we are finalizing in this analysis model. Clear? The third activity we are talking about here is software architecture description. Here you are going to doing the software architecture description. Here you are going to doing the set of components involved inside in the development of your software or project, how that interfaces will be connected to each other. And architecture, nothing but set of components will be have some sort of interfaces, and also the relationship between this component and interfaces, right? That is we are going to talk about in the software architecture. And the next part is preliminary design model. This preliminary design model, we are giving a preliminary is finalized one. It to be the finalized a preliminary design model we are giving. So the input for design model is software architecture. And final, we are giving this outcome of this elaboration phase is preliminary model. So this model will tell you how many number of the classes I need to create for my project, how many number of interfaces I need to be implement to connect of all these classes, how many number of GUI screens I need to be designed, I need to be implement, and what sort of the databases I need to use in the backend, how many number of tables I need to use, how the connectivity between the table to table, how many number of fields I need to use, how the GUI look like, how the navigation will be done between the GUI to GUI, all sort of that type of questions will be give an answer at the last of this elaboration phase. So totally we are doing 5 different activities in elaboration phase. 5 different activities we are doing over here. Hope you have note down, right? Next, third phase, that is construction phase. This is the third phase under the unified process model. Under this is the outcome of the previous phase, that is the design model. Once it has done, it is connected to your system components, because you are going to be developing the components which are related to your project. Now your task is it has to be connected to the system until unless, because if you want to run your project directly individually, it can't be run. We have to take the help of system. Here system is nothing but we have to configure what is the backend need it requires, whether it runs on the laptop, whether it runs on the server, runs on the internet, runs on the local network, what sort of the backend the configuration things is required with respect to the hardware, with respect to the software, it can be used to run our project. That sort of stuff we need to be done with the help of in this software, the system components. And here itself, we are doing some test plan, how many different test scenarios I need to be use it, because maybe your project will be used a layman, maybe your project can be used for any other educated people or uneducated people, old peoples or young peoples, all sort of peoples will be, can be use your project. We had to be checked for all the scenarios, how the children can be use your project, how the old peoples can be use your project whenever we done, because different scenarios when it is completed, then you can come to a conclusion that your project can be used by anything, any peoples, any sort of users or customers, different test cases. And we need to give some manual report, manual documentation here. So these are the 5 different sort of tasks we can do in the construction phase, because construction phase is an individual phase. It is not a combining between the two any other activities, right? So you have to please make sure with the terminologies, what I'm saying here, the activity, the task, and the phase. Phase is nothing but it's look like as a part of the total SDLC life cycle. We are dividing as four parts, four phases. A big part is called as a phase. Under the phase, we are talking about activities. Under the activities, we are talking about tasks. So the root for here is phase. The child for the phase is activities. The childs for the activities is tasks. Clear? So design model, system components, test plan and procedures, test cases, and manual. These are the five different activities, tasks we are doing under this construction phase. And the last foremost is transition phase. In this one, we are doing three different tasks. The first one is you need to deliver that first increment because it is an incremental, it's an iteration process. For each iteration, it is giving a output, a release. That each release is called as a increment. We also call as a product. After a number of iterations or number of releases or number of increments, the customer will finalize this is what my final product look like. This is what my project will look like. So that's why we need to deliver the first increment. We are not saying the product. We are saying deliver software increment. Next, beta test results. Beta test, when we call as beta test, we'll discuss about that in the testings. Alpha testing, beta testing. Beta test talks about any changes has done for the second time. It gives for beta. If it is a initial test, it's a alpha testing. Anyhow, we'll discuss in the fourth unit about this testing process. And the next sort of the thing is user feedback. General user feedback here is there. Once the product will be used by the customer, how it look like, whether it is flexible, whether comfortable with the customer, if any sort of technical issues are facing, all sort of stuff will be discussed in this user feedback. Okay, so these are the three different activities comes under transition phase. One is deliver the software increment. The second one is beta test results. The third one is general user feedback. So these are some of the different phases and their respective activities what we have discussed.